Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Let's begin. Greetings! Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your humble host, Konrad. Thank you for all your generous contributions made through my buycoffee.to account. If you wish to support the show, check out the link in the podcast description. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Comma. Przecinek. Full stop. Kropka. Question mark. Znak zapytania. Exclamation mark. Wykrzyknik. Dash. Myślnik. A friendly reminder when it comes to comma. Don't mistake a comma for a coma. Mind the pronunciation and spelling. Today we'll be looking at some basic rules of punctuation and what happens if you don't follow the rules. Long story short, it may potentially turn you into a cannibal. I will demonstrate how improper punctuation can completely change the meaning of a sentence. While punctuation is most apparent in writing, the rules also apply to speaking. You have to stop for a short moment and take a breath, especially in case of long sentences. That being said, subscribe to my newsletter and download podcast notes to get the full experience. Let's start off strong with an image from some poor guy's medical report. Unable to eat diarrhea. Okay, circumstances can be an excuse here. It's a medical report in a hospital, probably an emergency room. You don't have a lot of time to mind every single linguistic nuance when people bleed to death around you. Then again, you have to be precise. Otherwise, the physician will either laugh his head off or try to deal seriously with a fussy diarrhea eater. The latter can be quite dangerous. Let's imagine we ourselves are in the ER filing a medical report. We need to be quick, brief, and precise. Just a single comma makes all the difference. Unable to eat. Diarrhea. The next example comes from a magazine cover, which makes it even more embarrassing and hilarious. Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking her family and her dog. What we've got here is a typical case of enumeration. We've got a list of all the things which help Rachel find her inspiration. All the editor had to do here is include a comma before her family. Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking, her family, and her dog. Or simply change the order, although you still need a comma. Rachel Ray finds inspiration in her family, her dog, and cooking. The next punctuation fail. Hunters, please use caution when hunting pedestrians using walk trails. In this world, you are either a pedestrian hunter or a pedestrian game, apparently. Let's add an exclamation mark and a dash to keep those poor pedestrians safe. Hunters, please use caution when hunting. Pedestrians using walk trails. Our next punctuation fail comes from an information board near a fast food restaurant. We are hiring new cinnamon rolls. I guess the old cinnamon rolls weren't that good of an employee. I would advise them to form a union, since Burger King clearly employs ageism in their hiring routine. To be honest, I wouldn't put both of those pieces of information on the same board. Let's try to make some sense of it anyway, using the power of correct punctuation. We are hiring. New cinnamon rolls. Be careful of parasailing horses and buggies on the beach. Parasailing is an activity when a person wearing a parachute is being towed by a motorboat or a car. In case of that sentence, however, it appears that horses also enjoy that activity. Scratch that. Horses and buggies are parasailing. This sentence requires a bit more work than others. Let's also change the preposition of to an adverb when. Be careful when parasailing. Horses and buggies on the beach. The next one also comes from a warning sign put next to something that resembles food trays. Caution! Hot children 10 and under need adult supervision. Remember, when your children have a fever or are simply warm because of the clothes, and they're over 10, they're old enough to take care of themselves. It also implies that only hot children require supervision. The ones in the room temperature or frozen solid are free to be left to their own devices. Caution! Hot! Children 10 and under need adult supervision. So far, we've dealt with cases where a punctuation mark was missing. Now let's look at the opposite. 1 mark too many. Thank you. Your donation helped someone. Get a job. Now that's a bit rude. Telling somebody to get a job usually implies that such a person is a freeloader. My guess here is that the author of this sign didn't want to offend anyone, and that donating helped someone break out of unemployment. Let's get rid of the first full stop and see if it makes any difference. Thank you. Your donation helped someone get a job. As you can see, punctuation mistakes are common, even among natives. The examples I found are especially embarrassing since they made their way to print without anyone noticing. Still, it could be worse. You could get a tattoo with incorrect punctuation. Beware, for I am fearless, and therefore powerful. This example is especially embarrassing since it's a quote from a book, The Last Man by Mary Shelley, if anyone's curious. A simple Google search was all that the lady had to do. A more mindful tattoo artist would ask, "Are you sure you want this on your chest for the rest of your life?" All the more reason to double-check any quote you want tattooed on your body. Correction of punctuation errors is not a service a tattoo artists provide. That's it for punctuation fails. Let's go over some basic punctuation rules. To keep it simple, we will focus on commas for now. When should you put them? Rule number 1, put commas in series of items, clauses, or phrases. So when a sentence contains a list of items or actions performed one after another. The child's lunchbox contained gummy bears, a chocolate bar, a fizzy drink, and a bag of crisps. The horse looked behind the haystack, inside the barn, and under the tractor for its lost carrot. Rule number 2. Put commas when you are setting off a non-restrictive clause. A non-restrictive clause is a part of the sentence you can get rid of without breaking the whole thing apart. The hunter, whose hat looked ridiculous, was looking for pedestrians. So the sentence will make sense if you omit the middle part, whose hat looked ridiculous, and made a whole new sentence out of it. the hunter was looking for pedestrians. His hat looked ridiculous. Rule number 3. Direct address. If you address somebody directly, put a comma after the name. Madam, you had one job. Or between the subject and the name. You, madam, had one job. Let me finish today's episode by saying this. There is no shame in double-checking punctuation rules, or any other rules of the language for that matter. Grammar, punctuation, spelling, these aren't meant to be learned by heart. So Google the rules if uncertain. Better yet, if you're serious about learning perfect English, get yourself a grammar manual. Professionals use such aids all the time, so there's no reason you shouldn't. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to follow me on Spotify. It really helps me reach more people with my content. Remember to subscribe to my newsletter to get notified of new episodes. If you have any questions or you just want to say hi, contact me at my email, angielskiskonradem@gmail.com.